Hey guys, welcome to Medical Terminology. I'm so sorry that I can't be there with you in person today, but I thought the least I could do is introduce myself virtually. So, hi. Hopefully you all have one of these nice blue packets of information in front of you, and we are going to go through it together. So the first thing in that packet is the course syllabus, and the syllabus is really all the information you need to know about the whole class except for the actual medical terminology component. So all of my contact information is in here, the policies, class policies, grading breakdown, and most importantly at the end, the last page, which I would advise you to rip out and put somewhere front and center where you can see it in your planner or your binder that you're using to organize for this class, whatever, because I stick to it pretty rigidly. So this is in calendar view, and then this last page here is more like a table view. So you can see the layout and plan for the entire semester. You can mark all the test dates and quiz dates on your calendar. Notice there are a lot of dates where there is something in red, orange, green, or blue, meaning something is due that day or there's a test or a quiz. So I keep you guys pretty busy in this class, but that's because medical language it's a language class. You're basically doing a lot of memorization of terms, and memorization requires a lot of practice and recall. And so that's really what the steps I'm putting you through this semester, so that hopefully you walk away from the class with and retain actually a lot of this medical terminology. So the first page of the syllabus is the classroom information, my email address, which is the best way to reach me, and my office hours, which are listed here, but I'm often in my office at other hours as well. So as long as I'm in there, the rule is just come on in. You're welcome to come by anytime, but these are times where you can expect to be able to find me in my office because I'm not in a class at that time. The textbook for this class is Medical Language by Susan Turley, and here's the ISBN number here. So a little bit about this textbook, they decide to update it like every other year. So when I first started teaching medical terminology, I used the 2nd edition, and then there was a 3rd edition and a 4th edition. It's actually got a 5th edition out right now, but I try to keep the cost down by having you guys use an older edition of the textbook. You honestly could use the 2nd edition of the textbook and still be fine. You could probably find copies of this for like $2 on Amazon. You might want to go with one of these 2 editions to just be a little bit more up to date, but they pretty much haven't changed in content. They've changed a little bit of how they artistically format the pages, and they've updated the pictures, but for the most part, the content really hasn't been significantly updated, and if you want to save some money, you can go with one of the older versions. The other thing to point your attention to is this here, the My Medical Terminology Access Card. So if you bought your book new at the bookstore, it would come with this cardboard piece of paper that contains an access code that's worth like $50, because I think that's what it costs to sign up for the online aspect of the class. So the homework in this class is online through this publisher website called My Medical Terminology Lab, and I'll show you that right now. So when you sign up and you log in for it, it looks like this. So maybe actually what I'll show you here is you have a handout in your folder that looks like this, so refer to that now. These are the instructions for registering for My Medical Terminology Lab through Pearson. So follow these directions and you won't have a problem. Usually the first day of class, when students are signing up, I get like 8 emails like, what's our course ID? It's on here, okay? It should be highlighted in orange on your handout. So make sure you're just following the directions, and this will not lead you astray. You will have a successful registration. Just follow the instructions, and here's the course ID. Another thing to note is that, so it will ask you for credit card information to purchase access, or your access code if you have that cardboard insert that has your access code in it. Another thing you can do if maybe you're not sure you want to stay in this class, you're thinking about maybe you'll drop it, or if you don't have the money right now to pay for the access code and you're waiting for some money to hit your account or something like that, you can get temporary access. So you can get a 2-week free trial. So there's no excuse for you not to be able to go home tonight and get logged in and registered for My Medical Terminology Lab, either for free, with using your access code, or with a credit card. So first item on your homework to-do list is go home and get registered for Pearson My Lab. So this is what the website looks like. Your assignments, the upcoming assignments will be shown here. If you flip this handout over to the back side, it'll tell you a little bit about the weekly assignments. So there's 6 assignments that have due dates each week. So in chapter 1, these 5 plus this one down here are all due. Okay, the dynamic study module and the self-paced study, they're shown, they're here, you can access them, you can use them and do them as practice, but you're not required and they're not graded, but they are here. So just so you know, the ones with due dates are the ones that are required, and there's 6 per chapter. Some of them are very quick, the labeling, the matching, the popping words, a lot of them are in a game format, which makes them kind of fun. So they're not just like worksheets you're filling out, popping words. It's like little pills with words on them and you have to pop them into the right container. It's cute. It takes like 5 minutes. So some of them are very quick. Some of them take a little bit longer. The ones students struggle with the most are the word surgery and the exam review, so you might want to save those for last, but try them before we meet again so that you can ask me questions next class period. What was I going to say about the homework? Oh yes, so you have unlimited attempts to do each of these exercises. So you can do them all until you get 100, and that's what I encourage you to do, to have a 100 for your homework grade, because your homework grade will be whatever the average score is. I'll tally up the average of all these activities. So again, some of them are really easy to get 100 on. It'll take you 5 minutes, but the word surgery and the exam review, you might have to do a couple of times in order to get that maximal score, but there's no penalty for doing it over and over and over again. So I recommend don't sit there with your textbook and try to look up all the answers. Just do it. Just go through it, get it wrong, and then repeat. Do it again. Or maybe look up some of the things you got wrong afterwards and study a little bit and then come back and try it again. But I think it would actually take you more time if you try to sit there and look up all the answers in your textbook, and would be less beneficial. So just do it over and over as many times as you need before the deadline so that you can get your 100. And you really probably won't have to repeat it that many times, maybe 2 or 3 times tops. Okay, get out of my internet screen. Back to the textbook page. Okay, so I'm going to get back to the syllabus in a second, but like I said, this is a language class, and when it comes to learning a language, there's multiple facets of that language that you need to learn. So you need to learn how to read it, how to understand it when it is spoken, so how to hear it, but you also need to learn how to speak it correctly and pronounce the words correctly, and there's no exception here in medical terminology. A lot of the words are really big and scary looking, and you may quickly learn how to dissect them and define them and make sense of them, but you may struggle to pronounce them. So that is a component of the class that we'll talk about. One of your homework assignments is to do like bi-weekly pronunciation assignments where you practice actually speaking these terms. You also need to be able to write it, and that includes correct spelling. And so that's why we do spelling quizzes. And you also need to be able to understand it and make sense of it. And that's really what we're doing in the tests. So if we get back to the syllabus, close out some stuff. All right, let's skip over. I'll come back to that section in a minute. Course evaluation and grading. So there's several components of the grading process in the class. Tests are 50% of the grade, so there's still a big chunk, but there's also a whole bunch of other stuff that helps to buffer your grade. So sometimes students will express that it feels like a lot of busy work because there's a lot of things that you have to do. There's a lot of pronunciation homework. There's the online My Lab homework. There are weekly quizzes. But the class really does have a very regular rhythm. So at the beginning, if you're feeling overwhelmed, that's totally normal. Don't get scared. in a couple weeks in, you'll totally have this routine down, and you'll be just cruising. So if you're overwhelmed now, that's okay. That's totally normal. That feeling will get better and go away. Attendance and participation is actually part of your grade in this class. So you get 5 points just for coming to class, sitting, and participating. And there will oftentimes be activities that will require some participation. Pronunciation, the way pronunciation works, and I'll refer you to another packet, the next thing in your handout, or maybe it's a couple things down, is this document here that contains the spelling lists. So the words that you're going to be pronouncing in your pronunciation homework are your spelling words for each chapter. So this page tells you about the scoring. The pronunciations always due the night before the quiz, and you'll see that on the calendar. One thing I want to call your attention to is this here. I do have a YouTube channel that has videos of me pronouncing all of the words, so you can actually hear them if that's easier for you. The spelling lists do have phonetic pronunciation guides. So this is vertebrae or vertebrae are two correct ways to say this. So when you have pronunciation homework, the assignment is to call in to my office phone number, and the number is on every single page of this document, so you can't miss it. Call in, say, hi, my name is Sarah. I'm just calling with the chapter 1 and 2 spelling lists. Number 1, vertebrae. Number 2, cephalad, and so on and so forth. And you just go down the list. If you take big pauses and there's a big silent break between two words like caudad, viscera, my phone will register you as having hung up if you leave a big pause. So try to read in a regular order, or the better sort of advice is to maybe have some music on or something in the background that the phone will pick up so it knows that you didn't hang up if you need to take a pause. So sometimes that throws students. I thought I'd throw that out there. So check out the YouTube videos on pronunciation. It will really help you to pronounce them. It will also help you to practice for spelling. So in addition to the pronunciation homework where you call in and say those words, you also need to know how to spell them for our quizzes. So the quizzes have two parts. There's a 25-word spelling quiz, and that is those same words that you pronounced. And then there's also a 25-word vocabulary quiz. That's sort of a matching format. And for that, you will need to refer to, not this page, to this list, and this is what it looks like in printed form. All right. These are basically all of the medical word parts that you should know by the end of the semester. The first few pages are all what are called combining forms, which is really the word root, and they're all in black and white. But if you go all the way to the end, there are a couple of tables that are colored. One is peach and the other is purple, and those contain the different prefixes and suffixes. The last column on each of these tells you what chapter these word parts are from. So for quiz 1 and 2, which is coming up very soon, go to the calendar here. If you refer to the end of the syllabus, our first quiz is on September 5th, so a week and a half, on chapters 1 and 2. So that means that you need to study these spelling words, how to spell all of these 25 words from chapters 1 and 2. And you also need to study all of these word parts, any of the word parts that say they're from chapter 1 or 2. That includes these combining forms that are in the black and white pages, and it also includes the prefixes and suffixes, if I can scroll to them, that are from chapters 1 and 2. So it's a lot of word parts, which is often, again, feels very overwhelming in this first week or two of classes. But as you look through them, you'll probably recognize that a lot of them are parts that you already know or are very similar to each other. So although I think it's something like 150 word parts, it will actually really only be maybe 70 or so that you actually need to learn fresh. And we'll also work on some strategies for that. So don't stress, but do start practicing. Start making flashcards is a really good way to learn those word parts. And practicing the spelling and the pronunciation, and call in the pronunciation. So there will also be tests. We'll talk about those more later, and a final exam in the class, and altogether they will add up to 100% of your grade. Sorry for the text messages interrupting the video. Okay, last page of the syllabus here, besides the calendar, is a lot of the legalese in the syllabus. So if you have accommodations like a 504 plan or an IEP, please let me know, because in order to get you those accommodations like extra testing time and stuff, I need signed documentation. So just let me know as soon as possible so I can get those accommodations to you. Academic integrity, no cheating, guys. Do your own homework assignments and eyes on your own paper when you're taking tests. That's basically the integrity that you need for this class. The Title IX statement and the diversity inclusion statements are really all about safety and promoting a safe and inclusive environment in the classroom. If you ever feel like you are not safe, please let me know. That includes in your personal life and in the classroom and on campus. Title IX is a legal requirement that I am mandated to report any issues of abuse that are confided to me. So I can do that anonymously, but I do have to report any issues to our Title IX coordinator. But aside from that, I am completely respect student privacy. All of our interactions are private, but I do have to, if you are in danger, I do have to report that to someone for your safety. Please be respectful of everyone in the class. We have lots of people that are from different backgrounds, have different belief systems, whatever, and I want everyone to feel included. So if you don't feel included at any point, also let me know, because I want to do my best to ensure that we're a family of medical terminology students and teachers, and a community of medical terminology that everyone feels at home in. And then lastly, although I spent all this time going over the syllabus, like everything's rigid and set in stone, it's really not. So there is potential for me to change things in the calendar, but I do stick really rigidly to it. The only exceptions to that are unexpected events, like, for instance, today, me not being able to make it there, or if there's something like a snow day. I thought I forgot this page, but I just remembered it, so I'm going back to it. Okay, so snow days are not necessarily free days off. Most of the time, if there's a snow day, I will assign some kind of at-home assignment, and a lot of professors will. So if there's a snow day, make sure you check your email to make sure that there's no assignments that you need to do by the next class period. Attendance on other days that are not snow days is mandatory. I do recognize that sometimes stuff happens unexpectedly and you can't make it to class, like this one. And if that happens, mainly I just want you to let me know, because I worry if you don't show up to class. So I don't do excused and unexcused absences. I just give everyone 3 free absences. So you oversleep, your car doesn't start, you're sick, you name it, whatever, it doesn't matter. You have 3 free missed absences. And because those absences might happen on a quiz day or a test day, I also give you 1 free quiz drop and 1 free test drop. So you're allowed to miss 1 of each. And then you don't have to worry about making it up. You just missed it. Oh well, move on, keep moving forward in the class. Okay, if you miss more than 3 absences, I will start deducting points from your grade. I can deduct those 5 attendance points. So for 4 absences, you lose 1. If you have 5 absences, you lose 2, and so on and so forth. So you can lose up to 5 points for poor attendance. If you miss more than 1 quiz or more than 1 test, then and only then will we talk about doing a makeup. But there's, I have that dropped test ability, so you don't have to stress it. And then In addition to the online homework, the course web page is on Blackboard. All of your course home pages are on Blackboard Learn at the college, and you'll also be able to access links to the MyLab homework. So it's sort of the homepage. You can access everything you need, the syllabus. I'll also load all my PowerPoints there, and you can find a link to MyLab to access your online homework. So Blackboard can be sort of your home page for this class. And then lastly, if you are emailing me like you're going to be absent for a class or something, do just make sure that you pay attention to good email etiquette. So many of us, and I'm really an informal person, and I feel like I sometimes fall into this trap too, where I send an email and I don't say hello, I don't say, from or sincerely or whatever. I don't end it. I just send it like a text message where it's just like a sentence and I may not even punctuate it properly, okay? But don't do that, and hold me accountable for that too. I will always do my best to respond to your emails, and I will always send emails in a professional way. That means having an opener, a salutation like hello or dear students, something like that, and then full sentences and polite language, and then ending it with, thanks, best, sincerely, whatever, and your name. It's just good to get in the habit of always formatting emails that way, since email is a professional form of communication, even though we spend a lot of time texting, and that is sort of becomes habit to send these really short messages. Try not to do that in your emails to your professors. Alrighty, now I'm really done. So if you have questions, you can email me here or just save them for class on Thursday, because I'm sure if you have a question, your classmate probably has that same question. So thanks for hanging in for these 20 minutes. And your homework to get ready for next class is, write this down, 1, get registered for MyLab. Just go on, sign up for the free trial if you have to, and just start exploring. Play some of those games. You can't, it can't hurt if you do poorly, whatever. You just repeat the activity. You have unlimited attempts. So get registered and start playing around in MyLab. Maybe watch the pronunciation videos and start practicing your pronunciation. You can call it in now. You don't have to call it in on the due date. And then that can be one thing off your list of things to do. Just call in your pronunciation of Chapter 1 and 2 spelling. And then start studying those words, the word parts from Chapters 1 and 2. Making flashcards is a great way to study. And this last slip in your packet, the study tips for medical terminology, is great for that. And there's even some former students of mine who made virtual flashcards on Quizlet. So if you join this class, if you follow this link here, you can access flashcards that are already made in Quizlet for Chapters 1 and 2. So check that out. And maybe skim through the first chapter of the textbook, Chapter 1. All of those things will help you be sort of maximally prepared for our next class when I will lecture on Chapter 1. Alrighty, that's all. Bye.